Alright guys, so this is Aped in Crypto. How are you doing? This is gonna be the first video on this channel, which had been registered for a while, but I haven't really had a chance to create a video. So hopefully this is not the only video that I'm gonna create, and there could be some market updates, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, some NFTs, some news, sentiment, indicators, and so on, trading. So if you're interested in this channel, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe, potentially like this video or comment. I'm quite active on YouTube in terms of subscribing and following, probably about 200 channels. And I think I know what crypto or Bitcoin related YouTube channels are the best. So this is something I can also help you with if you have any questions. But essentially, from the perspective of this video, first I just wanted to show you also that I'm on X, or Twitter, Aped in Crypto. So please give me a follow there as well. So I've been trading since 2012, and I participated in the last bull run, which was a bit muted with this stop in October 2025. And I realized that hodling, which was kind of the holy grail, didn't really work. So trading definitely does work, and swing trading does work. And of course, you know, any other opportunities are always there, memes, airdrops, NFTs. But the reality is that the Bitcoin bottom is not in, as you can see that from my banner. So I really want to make that clear, that since February, before February, I had slightly different views, because I was expecting a little bit higher prices before we start moving lower. But then I realized that, okay, this is it, and now we're gonna move lower. So that meant obviously that this was October. This was the October top, which was according to the 4-year cycle, perfect timing. I mean, many of us were surprised by the mutedness of this top, and hence we were expecting higher prices. I was one of those, but then it was very clear, especially you know, it couldn't have been any more clear, to be honest with you, the 1010, which is not, I guess, not visible. That capitulation is not that clear from this chart, because this is a weekly chart, but there was a huge capitulation event, and I guess that was the October top, right? And then there was a huge capitulation event with the alts. And then we moved lower, and by February, obviously, there was a major capitulation, and in June as well. But this was on lower volume, so we can totally see how the 60K level is providing some support here. And many think that the bottom is in. They thought in February that the 60K was the bottom, and essentially I already said that no, it was not, because I was very clear at that time that we need to go lower, and the timing is, if you follow the 4-year cycle, bottoming in Q4, whether it's October or September. Also in 2022, Ethereum bottomed in June, then made a slightly higher high towards the end of the year. Bitcoin bottomed in October or November, and I think Solana bottomed in only in December, really. So the reality is that 50K has to be hit, but I think 40-50K is the sweet spot, and yes, 30K is strong support, of course. But to be honest with you, I think that is not necessarily the best case scenario, or the highest probability scenario. So what I think is going to happen here is that this level here, 52K, is the next target. As I was saying that, by the way, I have a Discord server also, which is private now, because as I said about 2 weeks ago, 52, 53K waiting room, and obviously been waiting for those prices, to be honest with you, since February. So I thought that we're gonna see something like this, but we're repeatedly testing this level, and I think people think that's bullish. That's not really bullish, especially if you break through and then we're gonna find resistance. Then we're gonna get to 52, 53K, and I think this week low here needs to be hit based on liquidation levels, which means 48, 49K is gonna be hit, to be honest with you, with a wick again, just like in August 2024, and I think that makes perfect sense before a bounce. Now, whether that's the final low or not, I am not sure. At this moment, I'm assuming we're gonna make the final low around 40 and 44K. So somewhere in the region of 44 to 40K, a wick is possible. Again, I wouldn't expect weekly closes below 48, 49K. Why? Because that I think that would be overly bearish. So having weekly closes below this level, I wouldn't think that's gonna happen. But the 40 to sort of 48K zone for weeks, for a 1 week or 2 weeks or a few weeks, it is possible around this time of the year, right? So Q4. Now, looking at the RSI, I mean, this is very, very obvious that is in a downtrend since March 2024. So March 2024 was the last time when altcoins performed the way how you wanted them to perform. The Trump pump was already disappointing, and then we just lost momentum since 2024 March, and we're just going lower and lower. And I think this trend line, this parallel line, has been touched 3 times already, 4 times if you will. I mean, it's not precise, but another touch is possible, whether this is the low or not. So if we go back to the previous bull market low, we can say that the momentum may have bottomed, but I think that's not the case. Why I think that? Because if you just simply look at, you just pull the fibs, and you're gonna say, okay, the first move followed by the second move ended here. So this we're gonna call the first move, and now we're gonna think that this was a connecting leg. So if you connect that move with this 25, so I think 25, if 25 were to be hit, which would be a lower low on the RSI, that would be really good, because that shows us that we don't need to touch this trend line again, but we do need to somewhere here, around here, make a lower low potentially, and then reclaim the midline. So it could be rejected here, or it could be rejected here. My assumption, it will be rejected at the midline. We go a little bit lower, and then we start climbing higher by Q1 2027. The other thing that I wanted to say here is not only the fibs, but also the fib time kind of tells us if the first leg, if this really was the first leg and that was just a connector, then the second leg is due to finish, I would say, well, by January. Yes, we know that. By December. So somewhere in this region, so somewhere in August, between August and December. But obviously that's exactly what we are expecting, September, October, or November. So in that region, I think that that would make a lot of sense from a fib time perspective. So before the 1382 fib time, this should finish, and I think that's probably which means I'm really bearish for August and September, and I talked about this, which makes a lot of sense based on historic data, since for both the stocks and Bitcoin, wake me up when September ends means August and September are really negative month for the stock market as well. And I think that that's what we're gonna see And just a quick look at stocks. I mean, I think just by looking at the 8-hour, the RSI is not really looking good. I mean, it looks like stairs up, elevator down, to be honest with you. At some point soon, from a chart perspective, I think we are approaching that sort of, even if we make a higher high, we are approaching that level, which is 7,700. Yeah, you know, we are topping out here, to be honest with you. Let's just be honest. Let's just be clear on that. And then the final thing I wanted to show you is Bitcoin dominance. Oh no, sorry, before that, so Bitcoin volume. So you look at Coinbase, the reason why the volume is declining because of the shift to derivatives and the decreasing spot buying on sexes and the retail, you know, diminishing of retail participation. This will pick up though. This is a good sign that the spot selling is essentially decreasing. We can still see a spike up before the green takes over, and I think that's probably what needs to happen. So I'm expecting a higher capitulation volume, something like October, something like, or February, but definitely bigger than June. That needs to happen, and I'm expecting two lower lows essentially, as I said, 52, 53k, and then 40, 44k, and then finally a Bitcoin dominance, as many are screaming alt season over and over, and we're gonna speak about alts at some point, but basically this is how it looks like. We are currently in the top level of Bitcoin dominance, which means that, you know, it's the beginning of any kind of alt activity, but the real stuff happens down here, as you know. And how far we're gonna go? Was this the top? No, 66% was not the top, in my opinion. We're gonna climb back up there towards 66, potentially higher. We can go higher, yes, because people are gonna bid Bitcoin and they're gonna throw all the alts in the gutter. So I think that we can see some interesting moves here. Again, the least I would expect go back to 64%, maybe even 66, maybe even 68. I mean, I don't think we're gonna get up to 72%. And if you pull the fibs here, you don't actually need to, because 78, 60, 66, you know, somewhere before 69% you stop. That's ideal resistance here. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for following this content, and hopefully there will be more coming in the future. Cheers.